All right, brewing season is back, and before I can mash a single grain, I have some housekeeping to do. I'm going to be deep cleaning my home brewing system, and for the first time ever, I will be passivating my stainless steel kettles. Now I know this is an advanced electric brewing system for most people, but don't click away if you're a beginner. Because here's the thing, the cleaning process I'm going to go over today looks similar no matter what system you brew on. Clean everything, sanitize everything, and if you want to go the extra mile, passivate your system. So don't worry if your home brewing system looks different, you're still going to get value out of this video. And here's what I'm working with today. I'm using PBW for the deep clean, Star Sans for sanitation and rinse, Saniclean also for the sanitation and rinse, but this is the low foam formula I'm going to use when I circulate the sanitizer through my pump and kettles. And finally, I'm going to be using Barkeeper's Friend for passivating my stainless steel. Before I start circulating PBW and sanitizer through my system, I'm going to take care of all the small parts, especially the valves and fittings. I start by removing and breaking down all of my 2-piece stainless steel ball valves and MPT quick connect fittings. These are spots where gunk loves to hide, and they're super easy to overlook. And here's all the parts of my electric kettle, and I'm surprised. I put this away clean last year. I pumped PBW and Saniclean through the system, but I can just see a lot of grime still in the nooks and crannies of all the valves and the whirlpool arm. Just really needs to be cleaned well. I soak all the parts in a hot PBW solution, and then I use a brush to clean out all the threads and the internal parts of the valves. This might take a few minutes, but it goes a long way in keeping your beer tasting great. Now that all the small parts of my boil kettle are clean, I'm moving on to the kettles in my HERMS system. My system consists of a boil kettle, a hot liquor tank, and a mash tun. And how I have this set up is I have 7 gallons of hot PBW water in the boil kettle. I mix about 1 ounce per gallon for this deep clean. I use a pump to circulate the PBW solution through the pump into the hot liquor tank and back into the boil kettle. I have a CIP valve at the top of the boil kettle, which will make a nice sprinkling motion inside the boil kettle to give it a nice deep clean. After 30 minutes, I'll switch from my boil kettle and circulate through my mash tun with the same process. I'll pump the hot PBW solution through the pump, through the hot liquor tank, and into the mash tun, giving the mash tun a nice deep clean. I'll also make sure to wipe down the lids and anything that comes in contact with the wort during this process. Once the PBW cycle is done, I'll rinse it with hot water to make sure there's no residual PBW solution inside the kettles. Then I mix up a batch of Saniclean, just 2 ounces per 5 gallons of water, and circulate it through the system for about 10 or 15 minutes. Saniclean is a low foam sanitizer compared to Star Sans, which creates a lot of foam. Same process, pumps on, valves open, hit every surface. Now originally I was going to use Star Sans. It's an awesome sanitizer and you don't need a lot of it. However, for my setup, I'm using Saniclean because it's a low foam formula and it works well, especially when I'm pushing sanitizer through pumps, hoses, and kettles. Now, if you have a simpler setup and you don't use a pump, Star Sans is a great choice. Now we've got the Saniclean being recirculated through the boil kettle, through the hot liquor tank, and back into the boil kettle. And once this is done, after about 30 minutes, we're going to switch over to the mash tun and recirculate the Saniclean through the mash tun. And when that's done, we'll passivate the kettles. This year, I'm adding a new step to my cleaning process. I'm passivating my stainless steel. I noticed a few spots of rust at the bottom of my boil kettle, and that's totally normal, especially if you let your system sit over time like I did this winter. Passivating also helps fix that by restoring the chromium oxide layer that's found on the surface of stainless steel. It also helps prevent rusting down the line. Here's what's happening. Stainless steel protects itself with a thin layer called chromium oxide. This layer prevents rust. When this layer gets scratched or it's exposed to chlorides, or it's left dirty, this layer begins to break down. Passivation just means we're helping this layer grow back faster by cleaning it and exposing fresh metal to oxygen. By using a mild acid, we're clearing off any iron contaminants that would prevent us from rebuilding this layer. In my case, I'm using Barkeeper's Friend. This is an oxalic acid, and it does a great job at preventing rust and passivating stainless steel. I mix it into a paste with equal parts of water. It's about a 1-to-1 ratio, just enough to make it spreadable. I apply the paste using a soft, non-abrasive sponge and gently work it into the surface. I also make sure to avoid any etched markings or electric sensor ports since those areas can be more delicate. I'll let it sit for about 20 minutes so it can react with any surface rust or contaminants. I applied the barkeeper's friend to both the mash tun and the boil kettle. And this is kind of what it looks like inside with the paste applied. And in 20 minutes, I'll rinse it out, let it air dry, and it's passivated. From what I see here, the surface looks great. And now that protective chromium oxide layer can start to rebuild, keeping my gear safe and looking like new. That's it for this video. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you found this video helpful for cleaning your own equipment. And I'll look forward to seeing you on my next brew day. Cheers.